I had no idea tennis could be this horny. Spoilers ahead. Challengers is Luca Guadagnino's latest film. You may know him from Call Me By Your Name. So, what is Challengers? It's a movie about tennis players and mostly about a specific tennis match. If you're not a tennis fan, you may think that premise as something boring, but it's not, surprisingly. Tennis is used as a vehicle to materialize the intricacies of the relationships of the characters. Let's try to summarize it for a second. Art and Patrick are friends who like to play tennis and want to go pro eventually. They meet this smoking hot girl, Zendaya, Tashi, who plays tennis amazingly. They both want the girl. They both try to get her. Eventually, Patrick gets the upper hand but messes up, and Art gets the girl at the end. Or does he? Art becomes successful and has a kid with Tashi. That's the clean version. In reality, it's a lot more horny and complicated. So, did Art and Patrick have a thing? Probably. We know Patrick is bi because of the Tinder swiping. Art? Maybe. Unconfirmed. His first jerk-off experience was with Patrick, so maybe that amounts to something. Now, Tashi, she's such an interesting character. Who does Tashi really like? Art? Patrick? Both? I think like everything in life, it lies somewhere in between. Tashi was a successful young tennis player before her injury. Technically, Tashi and Patrick broke up after Tashi's injury. That moment, Tashi realized that Patrick was not the guy that she could count on, other than for sex and fun. Tashi later on goes with Art and realizes that he's a good guy, a good athlete, and a great dad. All of this is speculation, and my personal interpretation, of course. You probably have a different one, and that's fine. In a way, Tashi wants someone who doesn't exist. It exists in two different people, Art and Patrick. She wants everything that's good about each of them in one neat package. Unfortunately, that's not how life works. Does she love Art? Well, what is love anyway? I feel like she cares a lot about Art and cares about what they built together. They are a power couple. Because of her injury, Tashi was forced to rely on other people to shine, and that person was Art. Because he was more disciplined, less of a mess, and because he obeyed Tashi, something Patrick would never do. But this very physical attraction that Patrick and Tashi feel for each other is undeniable. I mean, come on, she spat on his face. Luca is very smart at showing us all of this right from the beginning. After the viral bet scene in that hotel room, Tashi hints to Art that she wants him to win. And that's basically how she feels for the entirety of the movie. She wants Art because of what he means, or stands for. He's clearly the better choice. But like Schopenhauer said, man can do what he wills, but he cannot will what he wills. Tashi knows that if she had ended up with Patrick, her life and career could probably be a lot different. But maybe with Tashi's help, Patrick could have turned into an Art. One could be tempted to think that, but because of Patrick's personality, that could have never worked. So if Tashi had stayed with Patrick, she wouldn't be able to sleep at the Ritz like it's a Motel 6. And to be fair, neither could Art. Tashi was instrumental for his success. We can clearly see how Art depends on Tashi for motivation, and Tashi also depends on Art to be successful. It's a bunch of codependencies that start to rip their lives apart a little bit. Tashi goes and has crazy car sex with Patrick, then goes back to her actual life as a mother, a coach, and a wife. She asked Patrick to lose because that way Art would get the necessary motivation to go on and win the US Open later. Otherwise, he wouldn't. It would be disastrous for Art, sure, but mostly for Tashi. We have to remember he wants to retire and is only playing because Tashi is basically asking him to. Did Patrick obey Tashi's request to lose? It's unclear, but I'd say he didn't. He didn't let Art just win. He got into his head by non-verbally telling him that he slept with Tashi again. That seemed to throw him off for a sec. But then we get a fantastic tennis match in which Art is giving his all to win in an almost intimate moment. It felt like it was more than tennis, because it was. Coincidentally, Patrick told Art earlier in the movie that he liked that Art was trying to get his girl. So I wouldn't say Patrick let Art win. He made Art win by forcing him to it. Overall, it's a magnificent film, expertly written and directed, with great music that feels like a tennis ball is bouncing in my head. The cinematography is beautiful and the acting is stellar. The time jumps threw me off a couple of times, but it's nothing too serious. Even if you don't know anything about tennis, like me, you can fully enjoy this film. Actually, I think you would enjoy it more, because I have a friend who plays tennis, and she told me that she couldn't watch people who don't know how to play tennis trying to act like professional tennis players. So there's that. I did enjoy it anyway. I don't know what's going on in the match. As always, thank you for watching. See you next time.